Honestly, I feel like she was a hero. Had she had not did what she did, it could have very well been one of the kids.
Words of honor now from the mother of a pregnant woman killed in a roadway shooting in Arlington. Police are still looking for the shooter right now, and the victim's family, they want justice. They spoke with our Marvin Hurst about her life, death, and her children.
Breasia Johnson was mother to 4, 7-year-old Makai, 6-year-old Meadow, 2-year-old Maverick, and she was 5 months pregnant with another son, her family says.
I just want people to remember who she was as a person, the type of person that she was. I mean, to be honest, not many people would do what she did for somebody's kids who weren't hers. I don't want her to be forgotten.
November 12th, 2025. 7:40 p.m., Interstate 20, Texas. Gunshots rip through the night air. Glass shatters. A car swerves across the highway. Inside, a 29-year-old woman named Breasia Johnson makes a choice that will cost her everything. She throws her body over 2 children in the back seat. They're not even her kids. They belong to her boyfriend. But in that moment, none of that matters. Bullets tear through the vehicle. One strikes her, then another. What you need to know right now is this. Breasia was 5 months pregnant. She was carrying a baby boy. And someone had followed her onto that highway with one goal, to make sure she didn't make it home alive. Before we uncover what led to this tragedy, hit that subscribe button, because stories like this need to be told, and justice needs to be remembered. The question that haunted investigators for weeks was simple, but terrifying. Who hunts down a pregnant mother on a busy highway? And why did he want her dead so badly that he was willing to open fire with children in the car? The answer will shock you. To understand what happened that night, you need to know who Breasia Johnson really was. She was 29 years old, a mother of 3 beautiful children. Makai, who was 7, Meadow, who was 6, and little Maverick, who had just turned 2. She worked in the insurance industry. Nothing flashy, but it was steady work. She showed up every day, did her job, and made sure her kids had what they needed. But Breasia was so much more than her job title. Her stepfather, Latonian Allen, said it best. She loved her children. She loved her family. We're not just like any other family. Our friends are our family. That's the kind of person Breasia was. She didn't just care about her own kids. She cared about everyone around her. If you were in her life, you mattered. Her mother, Martha Gutierrez, remembers her daughter as someone who was always present. School events. Breasia was there. Thanksgiving dinners. She was in the kitchen cooking. Birthday parties. She was the one planning them. She was there for everything, Martha said. And here's something important. Breasia was 5 months pregnant when she died. She was expecting her 4th child, a baby boy. She already had names picked out. She was already planning his future. Think about that for a second. 3 kids at home, a baby on the way, a job she worked hard at, a family that loved her. Breasia had everything to live for. She wasn't perfect. Nobody is. But she was the kind of mother who put everyone else first. The kind who would drop everything if someone needed her. The kind who made you feel like family even if you weren't related by blood. Breasia was the kind of mother who never missed a moment. If you have someone like that in your life, drop a heart in the comments. In the weeks before her death, life was normal. She was going to work, taking her kids to school, planning for the new baby. She had no idea that someone from her past was about to destroy everything. Her mother would later say,
I just want people to remember who she was as a person, the type of person that she was. I mean, to be honest, not many people would do what she did for somebody's kids who weren't hers. I don't want her to be forgotten.
I just want people to remember who she was as a person, the type of person she was. I don't want her to be forgotten. And that's exactly what we are going to do. We're going to make sure Breasia Johnson is remembered, not just for how she died, but for how she lived. Because what happened next would test everything she believed in. And in her final moments, she would prove just how much love a mother's heart can hold. Every story has two sides. And to understand why Breasia died, we need to talk about the man who killed her. His name was Malik Minor. He was 29 years old, the same age as Breasia. He lived in Midlothian, Texas, a town just south of Dallas, and at one point, he and Breasia had been together. We don't know exactly how long they dated or when things ended. What we do know is that by November 2025, their relationship was over. Breasia had moved on. She was dating someone new, a 28-year-old man whose name has been kept private by police, and that's where the problem started. Malik Minor and Breasia's new boyfriend didn't get along. In fact, according to investigators, there was an ongoing feud between the two men. Arguments, tension, bad blood that kept getting worse. Now, here's something you need to understand about breakups. The most dangerous time for someone in a toxic relationship isn't while they're still together. It's after they leave. When someone refuses to accept that a relationship is over, when they can't handle seeing their ex with someone new, that's when things can turn violent. And the statistics back this up. Women are more likely to be hurt or killed by an ex-partner in the weeks and months after a breakup than at any other time. There were warning signs. The feud between Malik and the new boyfriend wasn't just words. It was personal. It was heated. And it was escalating. But Breasia was trying to move forward with her life. She had her kids. She had her new relationship. She was building a future. Malik Minor, however, wasn't ready to let go. We don't know what was going through his mind in the days leading up to November 12th. Was it jealousy? Anger? A need for control? Maybe all three. What we do know is this. On that day, something inside him snapped. Investigators would later discover that Malik had been tracking Breasia's movements. He knew where she was, he knew who she was with, and he followed them. This wasn't a random act of violence. This wasn't road rage. This was planned. This was deliberate. Malik Minor got in his car, found Breasia and her boyfriend on Interstate 20, and made a choice that would destroy multiple families forever. November 12, 2025, started like any other day for Breasia. She had no idea it would be her last. She had no idea that the man she used to trust was now hunting her down on a Texas highway. And she had no idea that in just a few hours, she would have to make the most important decision of her life, a decision that would save 2 children, but cost her everything. The clock was ticking, and Malik Minor was getting closer. It was just after 7:30 in the evening. The sun had already set. Interstate 20 was busy with people heading home from work, running errands, living their normal lives. Breasia sat in the passenger seat of her boyfriend's car. He was behind the wheel. In the back seat were his 2 young children, buckled into their car seats. They were heading westbound, near Bowman Springs Road in Arlington, Texas. Everything seemed normal. Just another drive. Just another evening. But Malik Minor was already behind them. Investigators would later pull cell phone location data from Minor's phone. That data told a chilling story. His movements matched Breasia's car almost exactly. Turn for turn. Mile for mile. He had been following them along the highway, staying close enough to track them, but far enough not to be noticed, until he decided it was time. We don't know exactly what triggered it. Maybe Breasia's boyfriend saw him in the rearview mirror. Maybe Minor just got tired of waiting. But somewhere on that stretch of Interstate 20, Malik Minor pulled out a gun, and he started shooting. The first shot shattered the back window, then another, and another. Bullets ripped through the car at highway speed. Glass exploded. Metal tore. The children in the back seat started screaming. In that moment, Breasia didn't think about herself. She didn't think about the baby growing inside her. She didn't freeze or panic. She turned around and threw her body over the two children in the back seat. She became their shield. More shots rang out. One bullet struck Breasia, then another. Her boyfriend felt a burning pain as he was hit too. But somehow, through the shock and the pain, he kept control of the car. He knew he had to get off the highway. He had to get help. He had to save whoever he could. Fighting through his injuries, he managed to exit Interstate 20. He pulled into a parking lot on the 4900 block of Little Road. His hands were shaking. Blood was everywhere. He grabbed his phone and called 911. "We've been shot," he told the operator. "My girlfriend. She's not moving. Please, we need help." First responders arrived within minutes. Paramedics rushed to the car and found Breasia slumped in the passenger seat, unresponsive. They immediately began working on her, trying to save her life. She was rushed to a nearby hospital. Doctors did everything they could. But the damage was too severe. Breasia Johnson was pronounced dead. And so was her unborn son, the baby boy she would never get to hold. Her boyfriend was also taken to the hospital with serious gunshot wounds. He would survive, but he would carry the physical and emotional scars of that night forever. The two children in the back seat, the ones Breasia had covered with her own body, were taken to Medical City, Arlington. Doctors checked them over carefully. Physically, they were okay. Not a scratch on them. Breasia had saved them. But here's something that makes this even more terrifying. Malik Minor didn't just put Breasia's car in danger. A second vehicle traveling nearby was also hit by gunfire. Bullets struck that car too. Thankfully, no one inside was hurt. But it shows just how reckless and dangerous this attack was. This wasn't just about Breasia. Malik Minor was willing to put innocent strangers at risk. He was willing to shoot at a car with children inside. He didn't care who got hurt as long as he got what he wanted. Martha Gutierrez, Breasia's mother, said something that still gives me chills. Had she not did what she did, it could have very well been one of the kids. If this story is affecting you the way it's affecting me, please share this video. Breasia's heroism deserves to be known. Think about what Breasia did in those final seconds. She could have ducked. She could have tried to protect herself and her unborn baby. But instead, she chose to protect two children who weren't even hers. That's not instinct. That's love. That's sacrifice. That's heroism. And it cost her everything. When the hospital called Breasia's family that night, their world fell apart. Martha Gutierrez lost her daughter. Latonian Allen lost his stepdaughter. And 3 young children, Makai, Meadow, and Maverick, lost their mother. Makai was only 7 years old. Meadow was 6. Maverick had just turned 2. How do you explain to children that young that their mom is never coming home? That she's never going to tuck them in again? That she's never going to be at another birthday party or school event? Just days after Breasia's death, there was a Thanksgiving dinner at her children's school. It was supposed to be a happy occasion. But Breasia wasn't there. Her seat was empty, and her family had to face that painful reality. Martha Gutierrez spoke to reporters in the days following the tragedy. Her voice was filled with grief, but also with determination. "I just want people to remember who she was as a person," she said. "The type of person she was. I don't want her to be forgotten." Latonian Allen's focus was on the future. "All we're thinking about right now is the kids," he said. "The 3 kids. Their future. You know what I mean. Their counseling. Their education. Just pray for those kids." The family set up a GoFundMe page to help with funeral and memorial expenses. But it wasn't just about burying Breasia and her unborn son. It was about making sure her 3 children would be taken care of. The fundraiser stated that any remaining money would go directly to supporting Mackay, Meadow, and Maverick as they faced the impossible task of growing up without their mother. And here's something that makes Breasia's sacrifice even more powerful. The 2 children she saved that night weren't even hers. They were her boyfriend's kids. She had no biological connection to them. But in that moment, it didn't matter. She saw children in danger, and she acted. Martha Gutierrez said it best. That lets you know the type of person she was, that she would put herself before anybody. That goes back to she loved children. Breasia didn't just love her own kids. She loved all children, and she proved it with her life. Breasia left behind 3 children who now face growing up without their mother. What would you want people to remember about someone you love? Let me know in the comments. While the family grieved, investigators were working around the clock. They knew who did this. Now they just had to prove it and find him. The moment Breasia died, this became a homicide investigation. Arlington Police Department's detectives knew they were dealing with a targeted attack, not a random shooting, and they had a suspect in mind: Malik Minor. But knowing who did it and proving it are 2 different things. The breakthrough came from technology. Detectives obtained a search warrant for Malik Minor's home. Inside, they found his cell phone, and that phone told them everything they needed to know. Digital forensics experts pulled the location data from Minor's device. What they found was damning. His phone's GPS showed that he had been following Breasia's car along Interstate 20. Every turn she made, he made. Every mile she traveled, he traveled. His movements matched hers almost perfectly in the minutes leading up to the shooting. This wasn't a coincidence. This wasn't road rage. This was a man who had tracked down his ex-girlfriend and hunted her on a public highway. With that evidence in hand, detectives went to a judge and obtained arrest warrants for Malik Minor. The charges were serious: 1 count of capital murder for killing both Breasia and her unborn child. Under Texas law, an unborn baby is recognized as a victim in homicide cases. That meant Minor was being charged with 2 murders, not 1. 3 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. 4, shooting Breasia's boyfriend and endangering the 2 children in the car. And 1 count of deadly conduct for firing bullets that struck a second vehicle on the highway. If convicted of capital murder in Texas, Malik Minor faced either the death penalty or life in prison without the possibility of parole. But there was one problem. Malik Minor was gone. He didn't turn himself in. He didn't wait around to face the consequences. He ran. For weeks, he was a fugitive. Arlington police put out alerts. His face was shared across the news. And the U.S. Marshals North Texas Fugitive Task Force joined the search. These are the people who specialize in tracking down dangerous criminals who are trying to hide. And on December 11, 2025, nearly a month after Breasia's death, they found him. Malik Minor was arrested in Midlothian, Texas, the same town where he lived. Members of the task force took him into custody without incident. He was brought in for questioning, and he said nothing. Malik Minor invoked his right to remain silent. He refused to answer any questions about the shooting. He refused to explain why he followed Breasia that night. He refused to take responsibility for what he had done. But it didn't matter. The evidence spoke for itself. His phone placed him at the scene. Witnesses saw the shooting. Breasia's boyfriend survived and could testify. The case against him was strong. On December 12, 2025, Arlington police announced the arrest publicly. Breasia's family finally had an answer to the question they'd been asking since that terrible night. Who did this? Justice was moving forward. But for Martha Gutierrez, Latonian Allen, and Breasia's 3 children, no arrest could bring her back. No trial could undo the damage. No sentence could fill the hole she left behind. Still, it was something. it was accountability. And it was a step toward making sure Malik Minor would never hurt anyone else again. Breasia's story is heartbreaking, but it's not unique, and that's what makes it even more important to talk about. Here's a fact that should scare you. 1 in 4 women will experience violence from an intimate partner at some point in their lives. That's 25%. That could be your sister, your friend, your coworker, or someone in your family. And here's something most people don't know. The most dangerous time for someone in an abusive relationship isn't while they're still together. It's after they leave. When a relationship ends, especially a toxic one, the risk of violence goes up. Why? Because the abuser feels like they've lost control. They can't handle seeing their ex move on with someone new. And sometimes, like in Breasia's case, that anger turns deadly. So what are the warning signs? What should you look out for? First, obsessive monitoring. If someone is constantly checking your phone, tracking your location, or demanding to know where you are at all times, that's a red flag. Second, refusal to accept the breakup. If an ex keeps showing up uninvited, calling repeatedly, or refusing to leave you alone, take it seriously. Third, threats to new partners. If your ex is making threats towards someone you're dating, that's not jealousy. That's danger. And fourth, stalking behavior. Following someone, showing up at their work or home, or tracking their movements online are all forms of stalking. And stalking often leads to violence. Now, let's talk about technology. In Breasia's case, Malik Minor's phone data is what got him arrested. But that same technology is also what allowed him to track her in the first place. If you're leaving a dangerous relationship, check your phone settings. Turn off location sharing. Make sure no one has access to apps like Find My iPhone or Google Maps. Change your passwords. And if you think someone has installed tracking software on your phone, get help from a professional. Here are some practical steps you can take to stay safe. Create a safety plan. Know where you'll go if things get dangerous. Have a trusted friend or family member you can call. Keep important documents in a safe place. If you're in a blended family, make sure everyone knows the plan, including the kids. Document everything. Save threatening texts, emails, and voicemails. Take screenshots. Write down dates and times. This evidence can be crucial if you need a protective order or if police get involved. Speaking of protective orders, don't be afraid to get one. Yes, a piece of paper can't physically stop someone, but it gives law enforcement the power to arrest an abuser if they violate it. If you or someone you know is in danger, call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-9233. They're available 24/7, and they can help you create a safety plan and connect you with local resources. And here's something for everyone watching. If you see something, say something. If a friend tells you their ex is acting strange, believe them. If a coworker seems scared, ask if they're okay. Sometimes just checking in can save a life. We also need bigger changes, stronger stalking laws, GPS monitoring for people with protective orders against them, and stricter laws to keep guns out of the hands of abusers. If you know someone who might be in a dangerous relationship, share this video. Sometimes awareness is the first step to saving a life. And if this content matters to you, subscribe so we can continue telling these important stories. Breasia didn't have to die. Her son didn't have to die. And if we pay attention to the warning signs, maybe we can stop this from happening to someone else. Let's go back to where this story started. November 12th, 2025. Interstate 20. Gunfire tearing through a car, and a 29-year-old woman making a split-second decision that would define her forever. Breasia Johnson didn't have time to think. She just acted. She threw her body over 2 children who weren't even hers. She became their shield, and she saved their lives, Her legacy lives on in her 3 children, Makai, Meadow, and Maverick. They'll grow up knowing their mother was a hero. They'll hear stories about how much she loved them, how she never missed a moment, how she put everyone else first. Her legacy also lives on in the 2 children she saved that night. They're alive because of her. They have a future because she gave up hers. Martha Gutierrez, Breaja's mother, said it best, "I don't want her to be forgotten." And she won't be. Breaja Johnson wasn't just a victim of violence. She was a hero. She was selfless. She was loving. She was protective. And in her final moments, she showed the world what a mother's love really looks like. A love that doesn't stop at biology. A love that puts others first. A love that's willing to sacrifice everything. Breaja Simone Johnson. Say her name in the comments. Let's make sure she's never forgotten. Rest in peace, Breaja, and your unborn son. Your courage will echo forever.